Welcome to the Civic Circus Podcast. I am Spencer Duncan.
Hello, my name is Spencer Lindsey.
Let's start the show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we have Spencer and Spencer here today. And in a minute, we'll let you tell people who you are and who you're here to represent before we get into the conversation. But when I first met you, we're close in the same age. We're of the quote-unquote same generation. There weren't a lot of Spencers our age. I think later in years there were a lot more Spencers, but I had never met, like growing up, a single other Spencer until I was much older, and they were much younger. So, we got that name. I don't know why we have those names, but do you know why your name's Spencer?
Came out my mama's mouth
Yeah.
when she had me. That's the most I know.
Yeah. My parents, if I was a girl, were going to name me Brooke, but I wasn't, so they liked the name Spencer. So that's the name I have.
Yep. The funny thing is, my best friend and growing up his name was Spencer.
Really?
Spencer Phelps.
See,
Yeah.
I never met another Spencer until I was college, I think, really, like my age.
Right.
Most of them were always younger. Then there were some reality shows that came out with a lot of Spencers, and so then people started naming their kids Spencers. So I think that's how that happened later in life.
I do too.
We did not have reality shows growing up. That was not our thing. Well, thank you for being here. So the first thing I'll do is let you give people a quick rundown of why you're here, not in the global perspective. We'll get into that in a minute, but what groups you represent and kind of a little bit about the work you're doing, and then we'll tee off.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I thank you, Mayor, for inviting me. I'm the CEO of Working Men in Christ Ministries, which is a prison ministry in the state of Kansas. I'm also the president of the board of Crossroads Restorations. I'm the head chaplain at the Shawnee County Detention Center, and I'm a Kansas Department of Corrections mentor as well. And I own my own business called Comprehensive Reentry Solutions. It's a consulting firm to help people that want to do reentry and help people in reentry to sustain life out here.
So I met you a couple weeks ago. We were at an event at a church, and you had not just yourself, but some of those who help you do the work with the Working Men of Christ, members of the Working Men of Christ there also. And the reason I do this podcast is to get things out, hopefully throughout Topeka, work that's being done that maybe people don't know about. But it also fills my knowledge gap. And I was kind of embarrassed after the fact because I had no idea you were doing this work in Topeka. In fact, because the guest speaker that day was from Salina, I think my wife and I were like, oh, so you guys are from Salina? And they're all like, no, we're right here in Topeka. And we're like, oh my gosh, okay, we have got to learn more. We got to educate ourselves. And then that became, let's educate everybody else. And so, so tell people what Working Men of Christ is.
Working Men of Christ is a prison ministry. We work with those coming out of incarceration, out of treatment centers, out of addiction, who wants a relationship with Jesus Christ or already have one. We have discipleship homes in the state of Kansas where women releasing incarceration can come to one of our homes, and we walk it out with them. We be those disciples that disciple them to help them get back into society, learn a different way of life, learn what got them incarcerated and how to stay incarcerated free and be a member of society. We also offer a Bible correspondence course. That's where it all started for me years ago because I was formerly incarcerated. So God had to get a hold of me because I believed a lie and I believed it was the truth. And when I got a hold of God, after he kept sitting me down, I thank God for prisons. After he kept sitting me down, I picked up the word of God and got to know about me and the truth. And then just like the Bible says, the truth will make you free. And that's what happened with me. I got a whole different vision, a whole different plan from God. And I always wanted out of incarceration. I just didn't know how. I didn't know what to do. And I was given a book called The Key to Your Expected End by a volunteer who comes in prison. And I started to do
Key to Your Expected End?
The Key to Your Expected Ends by Katie Souza. And it's now in our Bible correspondence course, but it started teaching me what to do while I was in prison. And that allowed me to open up my imagination to the Word of God, because the Word of God is difficult if you're just trying to read it. But once you start imagining the Word of God and get to know God, it's a big change, and it was a change for me. And my sentence was vacated. I was released from incarceration to a discipleship home, and in Topeka, Kansas. And when I got there, they didn't care what I did or was in prison for. They just loved on me, and they poured love on me and showed me that there's a different way. And man, it changed my life. It let me see there was another part of the lie I was believing, that there was a truth to it. And that's what I do today. I go around the United States and help people build housing programs, discipleship homes. And we got one in Wichita, House of Jeremiah. We got one in Wellington, Kansas. We're getting ready to open for 18 to 25-year-olds. It's called the Working Men of Christ Discipleship and Training Center. We have one in Neodesha called the House of Jabez. We have one in Topeka called the House of Joshua. And we also had the Harrison House for 18 to 25-year-olds. My daughter's house, which is for women. And then we have a foster care facility in Topeka called Crossroads Restoration Discipleship Center that does foster cares. Kids for 14 to 21 years old, a licensed facility.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there. So no, yeah, it's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so let's go literally back to the beginning. Where are you from originally?
Topeka, Kansas.
So you are from Topeka. Okay.
Original, yes.
All right. So then what happens then? You're in Topeka. You go to high school here in Topeka?
I went to high school. I barely graduated from Topeka High. I went to college at Emporia State, and I flunked out in 6 months. Again, I was believing something that wasn't true. I didn't believe what my daddy was telling me, and that was the biggest mistake I made in my life. But after that, for the next 25 years, I was in and out of incarceration.
So various, not one stretch, but different in and out.
Different stretches. I was a repeat offender. To those who are repeat offenders, I got something to tell you to help you get out of that, because it's a cycle of incarceration, and it's because you believe something that ain't true. And
so 25 years is a long time. So by that time, you're almost 40, right?
Yes, sir.
Late 30s, right?
You're doing math well.
College. I'm trying. Math isn't my best, but yeah. But okay, well, that's a pretty significant chunk of time in a person's life. So what happens then? So you're sitting in jail, right? And when someone comes and talks to you, what flipped that switch for you that finally said, after 25 years, this isn't working?
Well, two older ladies, let me say, were volunteers for me, Mother Billy and Mother Gloria. And they really made an impact on me, because they didn't care what I did or what I've come from. They just loved on me, and they showed me love. And they gave me that book, Key to Your Expected End, and it helped change my life. Because when I went to read it, God told me, he said, Spencer, shut your mouth and renew your mind. And I thought my mind was already settled with everything I had, but it was a total lie I was functioning on. And so many people incarcerated have been lied to, and they believe it to be the truth, and then they're operating out of that lie, and, well, that lie causes incarceration. And some people, it causes death. Yeah.
My 12-year-old used to ask me, he's like, Dad, you ever been in jail? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, what? I said, I've been to lots of them. He's like, what? And I said, okay, well, I've never been incarcerated, but in the work I do, I call it a privilege. I'll tell you why. I to visit a lot of our prisons and jails across the state, and seeing them themselves is its own experience and is important. But then getting the opportunity to talk to the inmates and have real conversations with them about why they're there, what got them there. But then that next piece is what happens next. And the question I always tried to ask when I was a civilian, then when I was on the council and now as mayor, is always like, great, what can I do to help? Like, because, and that's always the conversation is, because I think to your point, when you're sitting there in jail and you read the book and you're making that decision consciously, some unconsciously, that this isn't work, I got to make a change here. That's easy, kind of. It's then once you get out, that's where the real journey begins, and having to have some support. So what was that for you? What gave you that boost to actually take the epiphany you had sitting in there to actually a reality for you once you got out?
Well, because of the volunteers that were in prison and were ministering to me, there was avenues for me. So when my sentence got vacated, I had my friend's house, which was in Topeka, Kansas, which was a discipleship home. Okay. And I released there. Man, it changed my life, because, again, they didn't care what I did or where I came from. They just poured the love on me and showed me that it's okay to be me. And as I started to function in it and to see, I started to open up. And all the stuff inside me was able to come out when they was ministering to me. So I got some answers to the lies, which helped me tremendously. I was there for 2 years, and then they said, Spencer, do you want to run this? I don't want to do this no more. And I said, yes and amen. I didn't know it was connected to my purpose, but it was. And now we're going on our 10th home.
So
Discipleship home.
What is a discipleship? Explain how that works, how you get into one, how they operate. For those of us who have no idea, what that framework looks like. What do those look like?
Well, the discipleship home is faith-based. Okay, so you got to go. You're going to church and you're going to Bible study. You're going to get a mentor, but you got to want to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, or you want to be open to it. And we offer it to all the prisons in the state of Kansas. Thanks to Gloria Geither. She's a deputy. She's what is Gloria now? She's the deputy.
Some fancy title. Means she's in charge.
You're not listening to this, Gloria. She's a deputy warden, of the Kansas Department of Corrections. She opened it up for me to do the Bible correspondence in all the state of courses, to do the discipleship homes. And now we're partnered with the Kansas Department of Corrections, which is so funny to me. But we're partnered with the Kansas Department of Corrections. And so when a person fills out an application inside, they will give it back to their unit team, and the unit team will send it to us. And then us and the unit team will do an interview with that prisoner while he's sitting there. And we'll take him down the lines of what this application details. It's 30 days you're on bonding when you get there. It's an accountability program. You sign in, you sign out, you do chores, we do random UAs. Everything we do is discussed with the parole or probation. We do it in a partnership. And that's the craziest thing for me, because I was incarcerated. I didn't know God was going to use authority in my life to help me in my purpose. And that was the lie I believed. I believed authority was bad. And authority's good. God says he calls them his ministers in Romans chapter 13. But so they come to our house. If they're approved, they come to our house. And through our partnership with the Kansas Department of Corrections, we're able to see what they're doing in prison. If they're going to Bible studies, if they're going to church, so they ain't got to continue to live the lie. We just don't want anyone to come to our program. We want those who fit our program to come. And again, they want a relationship with Jesus Christ. They want to change their life. And the great thing about the Kansas Department of Corrections, when you commit a crime in Topeka, back in the day, you had to come back to Topeka. Yeah. Well, Kansas Department of Corrections allowed other men to go to other cities in our program, so they ain't got to face
the support that you were offering.
Exactly. So they ain't got to face the same things that they release from, and we find success in that. Our program is a year long. Once they start finding a job, they'll pay living expense, but we don't charge them until they get a job. So they help serve in the community. We have a lawn service. We paint churches. We do a lot for the community in Topeka with these men. And any community we're in, Wichita, Neodesha, Wellington, we work with the community to help the community. We do a lawn service for donations. People can't pay the high prices. And our men love doing this. They want to give back. So I don't know if I've answered your questions totally, but I'm sure close.
Was it a hard sell to get the Department of Corrections on board and understanding the importance of letting people move around from where they? So hey, let me send them to Neodesha, not Topeka. I mean, was that a hard sell to get them to sign on to it? Because you're right, the system has always been very clear. That's where you were incarcerated. That's where you're going to stay. And I think you look at reasons we have recidivism, higher rates. That's part of it. You're putting people back right in the same situation that they're trying to extract themselves for, and hoping that they just simply have enough willpower. And man, we all lack some of that fortitude and willpower when the time comes sometimes to resist old things pulling us back in.
You're absolutely right, Mayor. At first, it was difficult, but Mother Billy, who I talked to you about, was a good friend with Gloria Geither. And I called her and asked her what to do, and she said, call Gloria. I called Gloria, told her what we was doing, and she opened the door up. and allowed it because, I mean, she simply looked at my life. You know, I went to Sabetha. I didn't come right back to Topeka. I wasn't ready for right back to Topeka. I went to Sabetha, got to work it out with God and got to meet new people and see what the truth is really about. And man, it changed my life.
How many houses are in Topeka?
5 total, 5.
I bet most people don't have any idea they're next to one. In a good way. I don't mean that in a negative, but
Well,
we have several types of houses across Topeka that are rehabilitation houses, like what you're talking about. There's,
Yep.
You know that there's different models, different organizations, and most people have no idea that they're living next to them. And then sometimes the neighbors finds out, and suddenly they're outraged. I'm like, that's been there 10 years. Those folks have been next to you for a decade, and you never had an issue. You got one little problem. We have problems with all of your neighbors, whether it's a rehabilitation type house or not. And so I always have that community conversation because every once in a while I get an email about that, like, oh, I just found out there's a so-and-so house near me. And I'm like, and how long have you lived there? 20 years. And I'll look up the house. Well, it's been there for 15. What's the problem? And then they calm down a little and realize that it's good for everybody, because I think it's important that folks are put back in normal communities, not isolated to specific areas to feel like, well, we're trying to give you a chance, but you're only good enough for this area of town or whatever that may be.
Mayor, throughout my career, I mean, I have to deal with that, and I tell people, these people are getting out of prison, going somewhere. Yeah. And to have them in one of our homes where there's accountability, where there's a staff members in there, where the Kansas Department of Corrections is around us, is amazing to vet a person, to see if he's really changed. Yeah. They help us send people back, because I'm just saying, if you believe a lie, you're pretty good at what that lie is, and sometimes you're good at manipulating. Spencer was a manipulator, and the truth had to change my life so I can live by it and make me free. But the Kansas Department of Corrections has really helped us with a lot of that, because we are an asset for the city. Because, yes, those people have to come back, and they're going to bring them back. But we're there to be accountability for them. We're there to cover the city, to protect the city, to guard the city, and not only to guard them as well, because they believe the lie too. I tell people everywhere I go, the only way that you can get to prison or jail, you believe a lie to be the truth. Even if you're innocent, somebody got to lie on you. So we help them find the truth through the word of God. And once they find the truth, man, they become great men and women of God here in this community. You'd be surprised and shocked at how many. A friend of mine made mayor up in Leavenworth, coming out of incarceration. So there's some changes going on and happening with men incarcerated and women. We just got to help them find the truth.
Talk about what a difference it makes when someone like yourself or anyone else who's part of your team who joins, who has an actual background similar to these folks you're ministering to, versus, if I walked in there and said, hey, trust me, this is going to work. I promise. And I have no reference point for anything you've gone through, but I swear it'll work, right?
Yeah, you hit on a big one. All my team is formerly incarcerated. We've been on that side. We're on this side. So we're going to be the first to know if that person ain't really changing. We're going to be the first one to put that flag up, to call parole or probation. Let's talk. I think we're a big part of the community to help the community with the recidivism. And I see it because it used to be me. So I see it every day in my life as I go in prisons, being a Kansas Department of Correction mentor. I have a badge. I access all the prisons. Our team accesses the prisons. We get to know them while they're there. We get to mentor them for 6 months while they're incarcerated. We get to build a relationship with them while they're there. And there's so much stuff happens when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old in families that a lot of people don't know about. And this is a lot of things they're living off of. And we try to help them make a change for the better. I just use my life. If anybody asks, what God did with me, that's what I want to do with other people. So that's what we're doing. Right now we're doing Built by the Bid prison tour. So we're traveling to biggest and hardest prisons in the United States with formerly incarcerated people. We're heading to Angola in
Really?
July. Yep. Just left Parchman, Mississippi, Parchman Prison in Mississippi, and we're heading back to Angola in July.
Have you been to Angola before?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
They asked us back.
Yeah, well, so you did something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always say that, and this is not unique to this situation, but this one impacts people's lives a lot more, is our messaging does not always line up with our policy, especially with elected folks, where the message we put out there is, hey, we want to reduce recidivism, and we believe in second chances, and we want to open doors for people so that they don't end up back in these situations. But then we have a lot of barriers for access to services once you get out of jail, or employment laws that we refuse to change that can make it harder for people to even access jobs. And so I'm curious how you navigate. I mean, if you're able to help these guys and gals navigate some of that the best you can, because that's you've solved half their struggle in this immediacy. You've given them a place, which a lot of times these folks walk out and they say, I don't even know where I'm going to go right now. So that's kind of number one on the list a lot of times. So you've hit number one, but then number two is, now how do I get a job, or how do I access the services I need to give me the leg up? And so is your program sometimes able to help them navigate some of those issues?
Oh, that's one of our second biggest, housing and then employment. And we have been blessed to help. I mean, we have 70, don't get me wrong, 60-some people in our homes, and we have 11 or 12 unemployed right now, and usually because they just got out.
Yeah, that's a pretty good percentage, though.
It's amazing, but
Yeah.
we have partners that partner with us and want our men to come to employment because they go hard, and they just went hard for the wrong reason. And when they find the right reason, and we saying it's Jesus Christ, when they find the right reason, they'll go hard, and people love them to employ them. Phoenix is one of our biggest employers here in Topeka.
Oh, okay.
10 or 11 of our men working there.
That's great.
Yep, research. So we don't have any problems with employment, which is a good thing.
Yeah, because that's the next path to stability. You got to have some income. Having a place to live is great, but if you don't have income after that year is up, then you're really in trouble.
And then to
Gotta find
those
the
who
next
don't,
place.
Mayor, we got businesses. So we got a lawn service, and we got a trucking company, and a maintenance shop, and for cars, and so we also start businesses with our men.
Yeah. So at some point there was a choice. So you're in the home in Sabetha, and you get a chance to take that one over or help with that, right? So at some point though, you end up back in Topeka. How do you get back to Topeka?
Oh boy, I didn't want to come back to Topeka. Of course, everything that was not good was here, but it was my family's home, right? And so I met my wife, Robin Lindsey, and she said, well, if you're going to marry me, you got to come to Topeka. But the great thing about that was I said,
love
okay.
conquers all. It helped. It helped.
I said, okay, and came back to Topeka. But shortly after I was there, I was contacted by the Shawnee County Detention Center, the jail. And they called me up and they asked me if I wanted to be a chaplain. And that kind of blew me away because I was a frequent flyer at that jail. And to be able to go back and help those that, like God helped me, and so many people helped me, it's been a blessing for me. And this year I've been made the head chaplain there, and I just can't. I don't even have enough time to be there.
Yeah.
You know, there's 600 inmates there, and they all want to know the story. You know what I'm saying? But thank God I got my book. They get to read that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that here in a minute.
Yeah, but yes, I hope I answered that correct.
Yeah, no, that's when you start here and then you have experiences that make you say, I'm glad I'm done with that place, and then you end up back in that place. You know, there's always a story there as to how that happens.
And they're doing some great things at the Shawnee County Detention Center. Mr. Cole and Captain Parker, they got a place called the Honor Pod there now.
Oh, okay.
You need to go see it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's doing.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go see the new. I'm gonna set up a tour to go see the new facility with the health services, the addiction mental health service, which is great. In addition to that, but then see the other stuff while I'm there. It's been a few years since I've luckily been in the jail, I guess. So, but yeah,
you'll see it, and if you talk to some of the inmates, you'll see there's a difference there, a big difference. And I respect it, and I love going there.
So you did bring a book with you, Nuggets of
Yep.
Gold.
It's gold.
So what is Nuggets of Gold?
Nuggets of Gold is by 12 ex-cons is what it's called. It's a book Bill Corm wrote, but we all wrote a part of it. So I'm a co-author in it. And it's just nuggets telling people, because all 12 of us been incarcerated. Now we're all doing ministry in different parts of states. And we're just giving people nuggets of what to do and maybe try while you're incarcerated, because it's meant for those incarcerated. But a lot of people who ain't incarcerated still read it. I mean, it's in all the prisons in the United States through a prison project. Bill Corm was my mentor, and he has an amazing story as well, Mayor.
Does he?
Oh, amazing.
Did you put him on the list to get him in here?
Yeah, he'd love to come.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So how long you been married?
I've been married 6 years now.
Okay. Yeah, I've been married 9. I'll celebrate my 9th.
In August, it'll be 7th.
Both got married late in life, too. I also believe I'm a better husband because I waited so long. I'm not sure I would have been as good husband in my younger days. So
Amen.
it's probably good that she says I'm better because I was 41 when I got married, and so I had to learn to do things on my own. So she doesn't have to. I know how to do my own laundry and cook my own food, and she's like, I didn't have to teach you any of that stuff. You came preset because you had to do it yourself. So I was like, okay, there's value in that, I guess, for her.
There's a lot of value in it.
Yeah, but just talk briefly about that, because she said, if you're gonna marry me, you're coming to Topeka. Probably an easy call, but it's still a decision. I mean, it's still a life decision you have to make. But so, just what has been her impact then on you?
She has been my backbone. When there's people that believe that, he ain't changed and all that, you know what you got to deal with when you've been in the streets 25 years. She's there to authenticate me, to stand beside me, to support me. And she now has a home, a discipleship home. So at first it was kind of tough because I'd leave and get phone calls at night. Now she's getting the phone calls at night. And so it really made our marriage flourish because she understands what I go through on a daily, because now she goes through them. But Robin is great. She was also formerly incarcerated, so she knows the other side as well. Yeah. And God knows what he's doing.
So
all I can say.
Maybe you haven't hit this point, although I get the feeling you have based on everything you said and written about. But there had to be a point where you get out, you make this change, whether it's you're in Sabeth or you come back here, because no matter what, there's always those people out there who are going to be instantly dismissive. Okay, good for you, but you're an ex-con, blah, blah, all that stuff. There's a point where that bothers you, and then there has to be a point where you finally realize, I do not care. Like, I get, I don't care about those people or that noise. I'm going to push on. Did you hit that point? And do you remember when you sort of made that own personal revelation that, I got to do what I got to do regardless of people's perceptions of me?
I read in the Bible that it said, because of the word, you'll be persecuted. And I hold on to that. And, but it also says count it as joy. So I hold on to that. And I always is touched by people who don't believe what God has done in my life. It always touches you. But it doesn't touch me enough to affect me in any bad way. I still push forward because I know God one day is going to sit that person in his right mind right in front of me, and we're going to meet, and they're going to say, man, there's some changes you made, because it wasn't Spencer that did it, it was God. God allowed me to make the changes in my life. And he said the battle's his. So I allow him to do the battling. And he's been doing well for the last 16 years on that part.
So the extension of that is then, and I'm sure this is part of your role as a minister and what you're trying to do with these groups, is how do you get others to come to that realization? Because that is something that folks hold on to, and they're trying to improve their life. And then besides all the other barriers we put up, there's those perception barriers, and it bothers people. It bothers me when I see stuff. Hey, Mayor, you stink on the internet. As much as I'm insulated, I don't let it. I tell people it doesn't bother me because generally it doesn't. Every once in a while, you have that moment of like, oh, why am I doing this? I'm out. Forget it. Right now, you amplify that to folks who are already trying to jump over 10 other hurdles, and then you talk about them getting knocked down by people just that they come in contact with? How do you get them to understand the importance of pushing out that noise?
The Bible says you know them by their fruits. So I plant enough seeds to produce enough harvest to bear fruit, and they will see it in some time in their lifetime, or they won't. I mean, I just got to keep pushing forward. There's some people that's still incarcerated behind the walls in bad situations that still believe a lie to be the truth. And it's my job is to let what God did for me and give it to them. I call it passing the key.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I just pass keys. And whatever happens on the left side, I leave it to God. I leave it to God. But when I do see them or meet them, I try to greet them. I try to bring them into one of our homes to see what we're doing. That's the biggest part. I mean,
no, that's the best path. Once people see what's trying to happen, I think they come around to it. Once they have those, I mean, I will tell you, my perception of these things changed dramatically when I went to those, prisons and jails and had those conversations and got to sit down with, and I and those conversations I've had range from everybody who are in there for quote unquote low level stuff all the way to, folks who've murdered individuals who aren't getting out, but still have perspectives of how they're trying to lead a life in prison and the change they're trying to make from within as they've come to those realizations. So I do think you're right. Those touch points, personal touch points, really do change people's perspectives on what you're trying to do and how you can make a difference in someone's life.
And I'm glad you said that, because if it wasn't for Governor Brownback, who went into that jail cell and stayed the night and allowed mentoring to become mentoring and allowed formerly incarcerated people to be mentors, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
So you are right. Both sides play a part in this. I mean, it takes a community, a village, to help a person transfer from old life to new life.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's easy to say, great, they were incarcerated. It's not my problem. But again, we want everyone to be productive, healthy members of society, and that takes a little work from everybody.
It does.
It doesn't just naturally happen on its own.
No, it does.
It'd be nice if it did. Life would be a lot easier.
It'd be awesome, but that's not the case.
So, did you have any formal training as a minister that you went through, or people you looked to give you some guidance as to how to? I mean, the faith piece is one part, but there's some practical pieces to that. When folks come to you with their biggest problems or issues or things they want to talk about.
Yeah, I went through some trainings. I went through with Mary Flynn, with SAFU training, the Urban Ministry Institute that's here in Topeka and Wichita. I did 6 modules with some training. And then, of course, I always get some kind of training with the Kansas Department of Corrections. Just getting their side of the story helps on our side of the story.
Sure.
It really does. And, man, so blessed just to have them, because, like I said earlier, if it wasn't for prison, it saved my life. I'd probably be dead if I didn't get incarcerated. So I tell all the mothers that call me and the grandmothers, I said, it's okay that they're incarcerated. Now it's time God can get to them, and you can get to them. And they could start believing some of the stuff you've been telling them. Because everything my daddy told me was the truth. And I jumped out the window at 16. Well, but the biggest thing about that, Mary, is now I'm into prevention. Working with these 18 to 25-year-olds, it's tough, but I'm in prevention now. And we're doing a training facility out in Wellington, 4 to 6 months, where we'll train them, get them a trade, get to know them, build a relationship with them. And it's out of their backyard, which will help them. I also teach classes at JDC, Juvenile Detention Center, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where the youngsters are.
Yep.
And all of us need to get on board with this young population.
Yeah, because, again, if you can stop it early, it makes a huge difference. We get a little more stubborn the older we get. So.
Ooh.
I mean, not me, but I've heard, right? Some other people have different opinions about my stubbornness levels, but so I'm glad you mentioned the family. How much you or your teams or individuals working to connect with the families as part of this process, and communicate with them? Because I'm sure everybody has a very different relationship coming out with their family, and the families want to be involved, which is sometimes healthy and sometimes not so much.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of calls from families. I just got a call the other day from an uncle with the mother and the grandmother on the phone for a 9-year-old boy, and what to do with him. And it's just tough because he's in therapy and on meds. And first thing I told him, I said, when he goes to therapy, you go to therapy. Y'all got to do this together. And as you do it together, he'll start opening up to you. But yeah, Mara, that's why I opened Comprehensive Reentry Solutions, a consulting firm, because there's a need to know why is my son incarcerated? Why won't he stop going to jail? Why he keep using drugs again? And da 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 da. And God allowed me to be through that, and He got me out of that. So I just give Him the keys that changed my life, and it's so rewarding for me. To talk to a mother, a grandmother, and an uncle worrying about a 9-year-old because they don't know what to do. He's out of control, and that's just one call. And that was just yesterday. But we need formerly incarcerated people be transformed and go back in. This Built by the Bill tour is amazing because we immediately relate with them. And they immediately start listening because they're all looking for a way, not necessarily out, but out of the mess, and there's so many different stories and there's so much stuff that happens in families. Like my mom died when I was 9, and my father was a disciplinarian. My mother was the love. Well, the love's gone.
It's gone. Yep.
Spencer jumps out the window,
Yep.
Didn't understand. So there's a lot going on. And we as the city, we got to come together with families. We got to do more things with families and to help them with their children. Like I said, that age group is getting so bad. Especially with Nintendo and all that stuff they do all day long.
All day. My kid's doing it right now as we speak at home. He already texted me, can I buy some more whatever from my game? Yeah, okay, I love you. Good thing it's summer. We got to get you back in school.
Back in our day, we only had that little thing to go across the screen.
Yeah. We had Pong, little Atari, had to blow the discs, the little cartridges, blow them to make them work. Yep. So what do you look for in someone, or what do you identify with in someone when you think they would be a good addition to your team of going in and doing the work you've been doing itself?
Well, they got to be able to expose darkness. They can't take somebody else's junk and let it remain there. The streets say snitching. That's a lie from the pits, because we got to be accountable to one another. And my team must hold people accountable. For good and bad. But people are counting on us to hold them accountable. Somebody holding me accountable. I needed that in my life. I never had that. I was a loose cannon, But that's one of the biggest. The accountability is one of the biggest.
Yeah. So you got to recognize in somebody that they have that ability to draw those lines and be both, that commanding presence that draws the line, but also still be open to letting them know they're not shutting that door to the conversation. Because I think that is a fine line, and people can go either way. Because if you start holding people accountable, they can take it as you being too overbearing or too difficult. And the point is, I'm trying to be your friend. That's why I'm trying to hold you accountable. Yep. So but you're right. That takes a much different personality. And internalizing those things. You got to be someone who can hear all of these stories and all the things these people go through and all the difficulties they're having, have those conversations, walk with them a little bit down that path, and then go home at night and not let it just eat at you. And I can't imagine, because I don't do that work, but I mean, I can only imagine what that's like.
Oh, you're hitting it on the head big time. I have to counsel and minister to my team. So much goes on at night that the city don't know about, that we have to take care of. And these men and women coming out of prison are scared, especially if they go to a new environment. It's not as hard because they ain't got the same triggers.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier, but when they go to the same environment, it's harder because just going to the store, you see people you formerly knew, and you got to make a decision. And whether you make the right one or the wrong one, you still come back to the house. And what are you going to do with that information? Yeah. So it's a good thing that we monitor them and we have accountability, because that's our main program is accountability. Where you going, what you doing, how you doing it, who you doing it with. Regardless, that's our biggest part, because that's how we know if a person has changed. I said that the Bible says you know them by their fruit. So we see if the fruit is different, but fruit takes a minute to grow. So we had to continue to guard them, watch over them, help them, protect them, get them the small things they need, their license. And the Kansas Department of Corrections is doing so much better at that. Getting men their license while they're incarcerated, the birth certificate while they're incarcerated. It helps us.
It's just amazing how many people don't have that stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's required more and more now.
It's required.
It's everywhere.
3 pieces now, not just 2.
Yeah, which is even...
Yeah. So that's a big part of helping a man get back in society.
So where are we failing? We being a city, like the city of Topeka. You know, where are points we need to step it up, and things you think as a government we can do to help those folks that you're working with?
I commend courthouse. I commend the judges. They've been working with us well. They allow us to come and testify. They're starting to know our program well. So I commend that part. The police department helps us when a guy goes stray. You know, it doesn't take long to get him back incarcerated or wherever he needs to go. Yeah. And they come and they help us. So that's a big part. We need better laws for people in charge with sex offenses. That's a big one. That's a big one. 2 of our houses allow sex offenders, but just not any sex offender. Again, you have to meet our requirements. You have to be assessed by the Kansas Department of Corrections as well as us. You have to want to make a change. We have to see it on the inside. We have to know why you're there, and those kind of things makes a big difference.
Because again, as we talked about earlier, those folks are going to get out.
They're coming out.
And it's better to have them in a structured environment that has a path than just sort of, hey, you're free, figure it out on your own.
Absolutely. Everybody coming from incarceration should stop at a house of some sort and step out slowly. Because I tried it the other way. And fast is not good because you got to find money and a job and driver's license, and you're just it doesn't make sense, you know. So what we're doing it helps both sides tremendously. Topeka has been great for us, and they allow other cities to see what we're doing, because we was in a fight in a city in Manhattan, and they called Topeka about our house of Joshua's because it's been there.
Oh, in Manhattan,
long time, yeah. And so the Topeka City Zoning Commission told them about us and what we're doing. So, yeah. I mean, 2 thumbs up.
So tell people how they can find your organization and offer help or assistance, or, you know, money sometimes is always good. Whatever resources you need.
Amen. We're at WMOC. No, that's my email.
Well, that's good too. People can email you.
I'll give you that one too, but Working Men of Christ, Inc., which is inc.org. And then my email is WMOCinfo, INFO, @gmail.com.
How can they find your consulting company?
It's entrysolutions.com.
Oh, that's good. That's easy enough.
Yeah. And then you can call me at 785-285-2131. My number's a public number.
It is now.
Absolutely. It's been public.
Mine too.
Our book's on Amazon, or you can write our ministry at WMOC P.O. Box 47491, Wichita, Kansas 67201.
And that's the Nuggets of Gold book.
Nuggets of Gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got any questions for me? Or anything you anything you want to put in front of me?
I only got one.
No, well, sometimes one's enough.
Yeah. Where's your take on men and women releasing back to Topeka, and what can we do better for that group coming back to Topeka?
Yeah. So, as I said earlier, we have such a contradiction in how we talk about recidivism and how we actually try to help, stop recidivism. It's not fair for me to say the city of Topeka doesn't invest anything in those efforts. And I'll tell you the one exception. But so I caveat with that by saying we really don't invest in those programs as a city. Mm-hmm. The exception being we have created and have our alternative sentencing court, which has made a big difference. It's particularly related to drug offenses for the most part, but it's made a huge difference. It gives those individuals an opportunity to maybe avoid incarceration altogether. But regardless of even if they have a shorter incarceration, if they follow certain processes, then we give them an opportunity to roll back the whatever they've been charged with. So that's awesome. Been a positive. That's had a really big impact on a lot of people who otherwise would have languished in jail and not received any opportunities to move forward. So I always want to give credit to that program, but then caveat with that's about it. We don't help assist any programs really that help reintegrate folks or that provide learning services even while people are in jail, and I think part of that is since we don't operate the jail, we always view it as not our issue, right? Well, the county operates the jail, city doesn't. We pay if we take someone over there, we're paying, and that price has gone up, and it ain't cheap. I tell people it's up to $100, basically, give or take a few dollars, $100 a day. So when people say to me, "Well, just put him in jail for 3 days for this what I call lower level offense," I'm like, "Well, that adds up." You do that to 10 people, that's $300 a weekend. Those weekends add up quick, and so, yeah, so I think, we view it from that perspective. What does it cost me to put someone in jail? And that's fine. That's a budget issue, but that's not helping the problem issue. And so that's my frustration. Now, where I get caught up is, I don't know what that looks like. I haven't ever sat down, quite honestly, with you and said to folks who are doing that work, what should we be doing? What can we be doing? I don't have a lot of money right now and I don't have a lot of resources, but that doesn't mean I don't have connections or pathways to help groups like yours or others figure out how we get people, and help people, because obviously there's a benefit to all of us, right? There's the just human moral component is that we need to help people. But even if people don't want to go down that path, all right, all right. For those of you out there like, yeah, whatever. Okay, let's talk about the practical and fiscal component of that, right? Yeah. Police calls go up if you have folks who aren't getting the help they need, right? That has a cost to it. People don't have housing, so where they can either end up homeless or sitting on people's couches and then utilizing other services I have. That costs us time, money, energy, and resources, right? So there's an other cost to that. My guess is if we would invest some of that into these types of programs on the front end, I don't have to pay for them then on the back end, and I've improved people's lives. Amen. So I'm happily open to future conversations with you and anyone else you tell me I need to be sitting down with about how we can invest those resources to sort of help with that problem. Awesome. Because our recidivism rates they're higher probably. I haven't looked at them lately, but it wasn't that long ago. They were higher than the average, the national averages and even some regional averages. When you look around, you're like, well, no wonder we're not doing anything to help. We being the gut of the city, not folks like you. We're not doing anything to help people. Of course they're going to come back, And that's why I do push back on the folks who get frustrated with whatever, again, the organization is that has a house in a neighborhood, like yours and others that are out there when they complain. Because I'm like, look, it's if you have a concern with someone, that's fair. But I guarantee if you connect with the organization, they'll deal with the problem. But to just use it as a blanket reason to want us to run people out of neighborhoods, I'm like, what do you want? What do you want these people to do? This is the path to how they become your neighbor 5 years from now when maybe they own the house or they rent the house next to you and you're suddenly a good neighbor. Just like you and I both know, there's probably people who have neighbors that they've known for a long time who they think are great, who suddenly have a story like this that they just have never told them. Right? Told them. Well, let me tell you what I used to be. Whoa, what? Whoa, I'm the same person who's been your neighbor for 5 years. You just didn't know this was my life 20 years ago. Absolutely. So yeah, I think it has to be that kind of holistic approach to solve the problem on both sides of it. And then to your point, we got to make sure we're targeting everyone who's not young anymore is not a lost soul. So I don't want to let me be very clear about that. But yeah, some of those resources may need to be directed towards those young folks to show them that there's a better path, so that we're not dealing with them, so that they're not in and out for 25 years like you were.
That's big.
Right? Let's get them in their 20s and not their 40s.
That's big.
That makes a difference for the rest of their life too.
Huge. That's big. Mara, I mean, that's the only question I have for you, and great answer. And
Well, the good
I'm
news
here
is
to help
saying
you.
it, as I tell people all the time, saying this stuff's easy. Now I got to go do it, right? Like I can, us politicians can BS our way through anything in the moment, right? The real truth is what's the results. And you know, when I'm out of here, when my term's up in 3.5 years now, did I actually make any headway on any of these things? That's the real measure of. That's the real metric for if we move the needle, not just sitting here every once in a while and being like, how cool he sounded when he said some stuff that sounded good.
You're absolutely right.
So that's why that's also why I bring folks like you in here, so that you can remind me, hey, remember you said that? You know, I jokingly tell people my wife can't be the only one to hold me accountable, right? So other people have to also have to help her out a little bit.
Absolutely. You've been great.
No, this has been wonderful, man. I'm glad we see, and we met in church. If that's not divine intervention, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's divine. I love divine intervention. It's special. But you got a hard job. You got a difficult job. So me and my organization are going to be praying for you, and we're open to you, just like we are the Kansas Department of Corrections, Shawnee County Detention Center, to help make this a better place for those definitely returning from incarceration.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
The Civic Circus Podcast is a production of Capital Connection, LLC, and Voiceland Media.